Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 57. We've got a lot to talk about, but we're going to start on a somber note. Unfortunately, as we're recording this is at 10:41 um, on September 11th. Excuse me. And today is most, if not all of you, are aware, it is the 19th anniversary of 9/11, and we're just going to take some time and just, you know, not reminisce, but, talk about maybe our memories of where we were on that day, as so many people do when this day comes around. Uh, John, do you remember anything or what you were doing? How old were you and all that
Yeah.
stuff?
I was in a fifth grade at State Street Elementary School. Was sitting in my classroom where everyone was running in freaking panic, and then one of my teachers brought in a like radio, and they were just like screaming, "Oh, the like United States is under attack. The United States is under attack," and I was just everyone was just in shock, was just in panic, and I didn't know what was actually happening. I was just
Yeah,
really confused at the time because I,
you're
I
in
mean,
fifth
hell, like
grade.
between like you and me, I mean, I was what 10
10, yeah, I think,
10 years old
yeah,
or
something
so.
like that. Yeah,
So it just like you don't know what's exactly happening, and I just remember later in the day, and when I finally saw my parents, they kind of explained to me what actually had happened, and then everything with like George Bush coming on, and then eventually you hear everything about like about Flight 93, which was apparently headed to the Pentagon, I think.
no, it
Right.
well, no, 77. One hit the
Yeah.
Pentagon
Yeah.
already,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was speculated that one was going to either hit the Capitol, the White House, or Camp David in
Yeah.
Maryland, because that
Yeah.
was relatively close.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, unfortunately, um, the passengers, overtook the plane, and and well, it fortunately uh, for them saved a lot more lives and devastation, and that crashed outside of Shanksville, PA, just about maybe an hour or so away from us. Um, just southeast of Pittsburgh, Somerset County. Um, and so those passengers, I think the 40 44 that we were talking about today in school, I think 44-ish or so. Uh, yeah, I was in fourth grade, Good Samaritan Catholic school, little Catholic school boy. Uh, I remember I remember we were at lunch and sitting there. Lunch was probably 10:15, 10:45, 9:45, something around there. I remember. And, somebody at my table, left, um, which at the time you don't think anything of it. They had, sick, doctor's appointment, what have you, right? Nothing out of the ordinary. After lunch, we're in the classroom, and people started to go, and more people started to go. I think even before that, the teacher said something along the lines. I can remember this, like the she didn't come out and say that there was a terrorist attack. She said something like president, we're doing something. President wants us to do, I don't know, something. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't came out and say it. And I was one of the last few people in my classroom, and my mom was at work. It was a Tuesday, so my dad was off. He came and he picked me up, and I remember at this point I have no idea what's going on. Right, obviously. Um, I was I was mad because we were playing football in gym on the parking lot with film football. I was mad. I was upset because I wanted to play that, and uh, got in the car. I think my dad told me um, something brief like stupid people, or I don't know, it did something in New York. And I remember I looked the wrong. We're at 8th Street. Well, nobody else basically is going to know what we're talking about, but like where Good Samaritan is, we're at 8th Street by like 8 plus.
Yeah.
And I remember saying something, he said something about some stupid people did something in New York. And I just, just a funny thing. I remember I looked the wrong way. I looked south and not north. I looked toward Pittsburgh and not New York. That was, I don't know, that stuck out as something funny to me. Um, we went over to Aliquippa across the river, Aliquippa, PA. My dad stopped. Um, I forget the order. Stopped somewhere, a place he usually hangs out. They went in, and I remember they had a TV in there. And by this time, I think all the towers had fallen already. And I remember there was an aerial shot of, I guess, the place. I think I remember, and I I, I didn't remember seeing a lot of smoke, and I was thinking, what happened? I didn't like really grasp the severity of it. I at that point I don't remember seeing any replays or anything. And then we went to my mom's work, I guess, to check in and all that stuff. And then we went home, and I remember standing outside. I think a friend came over, and I said something. You can't believe, you see what happened. You can't believe, and I don't know, whatever I said. And it kind of like a weird moment that maybe days after, there was no planes in the sky for the longest time. And then I remember walking up to the corner, and then my dad came out and yelled at me, um, because he was afraid, because it was his day of, and he was afraid of what was going on. He wanted me to get back inside. Um, and I just that's what I remember. And then the days after, just no, it was just weird. No airplanes in the sky, because we take that for granted. You walk out and you hear it, but like I forget how long the airports were closed, but it was just silence in the sky. So that was my day, I think. And then obviously watch stuff in days after, and then every year I usually watch that same shows, documentaries every year to watch. And I probably have a crap ton of stuff recorded on the DVR. There's a new show out about the Bin Laden's hard drive they took from when they killed him in his compound.
Mm-hmm.
So that was new. I want to watch that. Um, what was in retrospect is surreal. Oh, I butchered that word. When we went to New York and we went to the 9/11 museum and the memorial out there with all the fountains. Uh, I was trying to imagine what it would have been like back then, and my brain couldn't comprehend that.
It was
Uh,
probably the most eerie place I had ever been to. Like
yes,
it was just uncomfortably quiet. Like like I mean, hell, even walking through with the whole like museum there. I mean, it was just very strange.
Yeah.
It's like, and I mean, I took a ton of pictures of that, and
Hmm.
just like walking through there, like you saw the actual pillar of the of the trade center there. I mean, you saw like steps and escalators
Fire
from the
truck, crushed fire, yeah, crushed
uh,
fire trucks.
I'm just like,
Crushed everything. The retaining wall is still there.
yeah, yeah,
One of
it's
them. Um,
yeah,
it's just old like support like beams. That were underground that were, I guess, I don't know, part of the base support thing that they had built, obviously underground. Um, yeah, it was a weird feeling because I remember I think I went up to one of those waterfalls, whatever whatever you want to call it, what they're called, and like trying to like look up and trying like to imagine like that no, I just blew my mind. Like incomprehensible of state where we were standing, what was there, what at the time, last year, what, 18 years ago.
right,
Like
right.
the brain can't comprehend that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know, that's, oh well, my memories. I don't know if you have anything else to add. uh,
No, not really. It just
uh
because honestly, that day in large was a complete blur to me. Outside
yeah,
of where I was at when the whole thing happened.
yeah,
But as far as like when I came home and stuff, like just don't
yeah,
really remember a lot about that day. Um,
yeah, I don't, I remember, I remember more specific at school. I flashes. I remember more stuff than when I came home. Like I don't remember watching anything on TV. I know I probably did. Maybe my parents didn't want me to see. I don't remember. I remember like I'm fairly confident of what I remember is like pretty accurate. Um, because I remember a lot about that day because those days stick with you. Um, it's funny what you remember, but like that, like at least from school to when I left, like that stuck in my head. And another thing that like blew my mind, um, well, just personally, is being in school and being in a like a social studies class today. They talked about 9/11, teach it to PowerPoint, and the people who take this class are basically all juniors, and none of them were born. What blew my mind, like every year, none of them were born when that happened
yeah,
because it happened 19 years ago, and most of them are like 16, 17,
mhm,
juniors in high school, which like blows my mind how fast time goes. And next year it's 20 years,
mhm,
so I'll be, yes, I was 9 at the time. Um,
yeah.
just blows like how time goes fast, and like we what's a comparable like okay, the closest like big national thing, I mean, just not to compare, but like where were you when cut type moments, okay, JFK, like my parents remember that. My mom tells stories of like what she was when she was probably about my age when, or our age when this happened. So like
Same with
where
my
you
dad.
were.
Yeah, yeah. Same
um
with my dad. Yeah,
yeah, like
when that
obviously
happened.
we were not born yet.
No.
I don't know anything before uh like right around we were born, like right before. But anyways, like that's the JFK was the top comparable thing. And like now we all know everything about JFK, how it happened. We know stuff, and now like these kids, these students, like they know about it, but like they're asking questions like I know like the back of my hand. Like to me, it's like common sense. I they're asking stuff, and I'm like holy crap! Nobody was alive, and even people older, they already graduated. They're what 1 or 2 years old. Like they don't remember anything, obviously. So
Mhm.
it's like it just every year. I will probably say this every year. Just blows my mind how fast time goes by, and like yet most of us, all of us, remember it like it was yesterday in some parts. So yeah, I so this is another week. Which how do you segue from one topic to the other?
Well, but I could say like, sports that year, especially if you were in like New York, um, like you just remember like when with the Yankees, do you remember a few guys on the Giants who would be wearing um um New York Police departments stuff to kind of honor those like
Yeah,
fallen heroes
and then you had
in the police department and the fire department, and it just kind of just shows you how big of an impact that had. But to kind
then you had Bush throw out the first pitch at
of, mhm.
Yankee Stadium, which probably is like the best first pitch I've ever seen in
Yeah,
my life.
I was
Like
about to say that like that. I mean, you can't get any more perfect than what that
it
was. But
was a freaking strike down the middle.
yeah, and to kind of segue into some NFL talk, man, because now and we are, as you said, on Friday here, which means that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans have already played their game from
Well,
last
Kansas
night.
City played.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just man, it's just great to have football back because honestly, man, when this whole pandemic started, I didn't think that we were going to ever get here. I didn't. I thought that at some point during training camp that there would be some huge outbreak and then basically everything would be canceled. But I mean, up until this point, cases are extremely low. So whatever protocols that the NFL is currently doing, it's freaking working because everyone seems to be healthy. Hell, like at Kansas City, they had 17,000 fans at Arrowhead. So, which I mean, it just felt good just to see some semblance of a crowd there.
Yeah,
It was
some
awesome.
normalcy.
Um, but but man, and I'm just gonna talk right now strictly about that game last night, and
Yep.
I know that you missed a good portion of that
I
game.
really I missed pretty much the first half.
Mhm.
I watched most of the second half after it was kind of out of reach. I kind of
Yeah,
switched because
yeah,
it
yeah.
um
It's just that game just remind you a how freaking good that Kansas City is, and b
yep,
how bad that Houston Texans offense is without D Andre Hopkins now. Like that offense has no legitimate wide receiving threats who can win on one matchups now. And it just like and you just saw all night a Deshaun Watson, he was running for his life. I mean, like I can't tell you how many plays I saw where like within like and a half seconds, he had to I just had to like move around just to like try and to survey things. And some guys they would be open, but his line was just getting just absolutely just massacred. And Chris Jones, who was their their all pro defensive tackle, which is having a field day. And also and also Frank. Clark too was also having a field day. Just that line was just awful. But yeah, and I mean, it's it's tough, man. When you look at Kansas City, you're like, if everyone is healthy, it's like, how do you stop that offense? Because now, not only can they spread you out and just break you down, um, through through the pass, but now they have a very intimidating running game now with Clyde Edwards
Oh yeah, he looked from what I
E
saw, he looks good.
Elair. Yeah, and man, he I'm my gamble paid off for him in like fantasy football. So I'm looking pretty damn good right now. But
You're looking
um
smart, yeah.
yeah, I'm just glad that the Steelers do not have to face them this year. Well, unless we face each other in the postseason, that is. But man, I mean, like that team. I mean, I mean, barring injury, that is easily a 13 or 14 win team this
Oh
year,
yeah, they look
easily.
dangerous.
Um, and this will kind of segue us into our division by division
Yeah.
picks here. And
So
I guess we'll start off
so which
with the AFC North here first.
uh
Madam, who do you got, and who and how do you see things kind of shaking out
I
there?
I
There.
see it uh I see the now I mean let me put a disclaimer for everybody watching. This is take my opinions with a grain of salt. I see the Ravens edging out the Steelers by a, a few games. I think it's going to be close this year. Um, so I think it's between Steelers and Ravens for the top in the division, followed by the Browns and then Bengals in last place.
Yeah, honestly, I think with the Steelers and Baltimore, it could be either one
Yeah,
of those teams. I
I
really
think I
do
said
think
that last
that
year,
a
but
lot of
look what
people
happened.
and yes, I'm being a complete homer here by saying this because I'm drinking every bit of that Steelers fan Kool-Aid. Just I think if Ben is completely healthy, if he's even 75 to 80% of himself, this team should at least win 11 games this year. This
Yeah,
team is just far too talented. They have probably one of the top three NFL defenses. I love um I love with their with their wide receiving core, running backs if healthy are pretty solid to me. I do have a slight concern with the offensive line because age you're starting to see it's starting to creep in
Yep.
there. David D Castro, he's out this week and he really hasn't participated hardly at all
Yeah.
in training camp. So like that's one concern I have on the offense there. But as far as Ben is concerned, he looks freaking awesome right now. He looks healthy. He doesn't his his arm. I mean, like just like from some of the small clips that they have shown on like YouTube and on social media, just just looks awesome right now. It just looks healthy. So I'm going to freaking bank on that. But I am going to pick Baltimore. With the Steelers finishing second. I'm not like some people are still putting stock into into Cleveland, which I
I
don't know
I,
why.
I gotta see. I
They have to prove it. Like
yes.
like they lost against a Steelers led team with Tuck Hodges as a quarterback, with
Hmm.
injuries up and down everywhere, and they could not beat them. And hell, like they had this amazing off season, and they could not get the job that I do not believe in 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 a Baker. I think he's completely overrated. And until he proves something, I mean, I
I
just don't
yeah,
think
I
that they're going to be better than either Baltimore.
we they the Browns have to make us eat crow for us to believe. Um,
Absolutely, like what have they shown
well,
to you? And everyone says everyone says, oh, it's a completely different head coach and all. And I'm like, yeah, and that is also a problem too
that's
because
that's tradition.
well, and
New
two
head
Matt,
coaches every other freaking year.
well, and two especially now, Matt. I mean, like, I mean, legitimately, all of these coaches and and their and the players have have only met for about 6 weeks because of COVID. Everything was
Right.
done completely virtual without like any mini camps, off season program or anything. So like you lose that, which I feel, especially if you're Kevin Stefanski, that would have been really vital. So that's going to be a challenge that they're going to have to work through. And until, as you said, until they show us, that's kind of where things
Until
are
you
right there.
prove us wrong, you're not,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's gonna pick you. And for a side note, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I apologize if my audio was off, and it was. I think I was using the computer and not this mic. The settings were off. I was doing a live stream for our high school football game, so everything was. I literally came home, unpacked, and we started recording, so everything was off. So my audio in the beginning, I fixed it now, was probably crappy. But
Way to go.
well, shut up. You don't have to deal with all of this. You get to sit
She said,
home and. Anywho, let's go the AFC South. We got the Colts. We have the Jaguars, Titans, and Texans. What say
yeah,
you?
I'm diving into it. To me, it's down to either Tennessee or Indianapolis. And I don't. I think I'm going to lean towards Indianapolis just because I don't really trust in like Ryan Tannehill. I feel like he got really fortunate in a lot of situations. Although, um, he did make some pretty big plays, but if that team doesn't have Henry, who is just carrying that offense, I feel like they really do struggle. So I'm gonna lean with Indianapolis. I don't think with like Phil Rivers that he's done. I think he still has something left. Um, and to with that whole entire team, they are talented. They have a really good roster. They just need a quarterback, and I feel like he will. I feel like he will lead that team to a D to a division title. Second being Tennessee, third being Houston, and then there are Tony Khan and his Jaguars who are
So
basically tanking this year because they traded away everybody. Yeah.
you only see the Texans in third.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I just that offense to me is just going to struggle to put up points consistently. I don't think that they really ever answered that need at like wide receiver. With their defense isn't terrible, but like how that game went, and yeah, it's only week 1, but I was already kind of feeling that way in the off season. I just don't feel like that they did enough to help themselves here.
It's tough for me because a lot of, from what I saw, win projections, they had, I believe, the Titans up there. I think I don't remember what the Colts were. Man, Houston's. I think that the Texans are a wild card in this division.
Right.
Here's my relevant. I'll go with. I'll be different. I'll go with in a close break. I'll go with Tennessee. Colts and Texans. Texans, I don't know. They kind of like just didn't they off season get rid of like several people too.
Yeah.
Big people.
Texans. I mean, like most like notably, the Andre Hopkins was the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, like off the top of my head, I can't recall. I mean, like they let go of Carlos Hyde. But I'm trying to. I
Yeah.
can't really think of anyone else in. They like and whenever when they traded Hopkins, which they only got a fourth round pick for him, and I think they might have gotten maybe one more pick. So it just like they got like peanuts for him. So it was a nightmare of an off season for the Texans there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be, I guess, close between the Colts and the Titans. I believe between. So we have the AFC West with the Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers. I think it's unanimous with everybody. The Chiefs kind of
I
run
really
away.
don't, barring injury, of course. I
Yeah.
really don't see how they don't run away with this thing. I do think though that teams such as like Denver are coming. Like they really build up that offense in the NFL draft. Some really other good targets for like Drew Lock. But at the same time too, on the defense is getting a little bit older now. So we'll see how they do. Um, um, uh, the lost the like Las Vegas Raiders now. That's going to take some time getting used to there. But
Yep.
I don't believe in Derek Carr. He's been extremely inconsistent. I do think they are around that 8-win markish. And as far as the LA Chargers, any without any quarterback, they're going to struggle. Just I mean, it's a very good defense, but they also lost their all pro safety Derwin James again. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So that's unfortunate. So based on all of those things, they're at, it just really feels like that this is Kansas City's division to uh
To
essentially
lose.
lose if
Yeah.
they so choose. They're just so much better than every other team there. So I'm gonna stick with the
Yep.
Kansas City Chiefs. Man.
Yeah. Yep. I would be an idiot to go with anything else at this
Mhm.
point. We go to the Tom Brady list, AFC East, with the Bills, the Dolphins, the new look Patriots, and the Jets.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going with the Buffalo Bills here. I feel like this is finally is going to be their year, even against the Patriots last year. They were a tough tough 2 games against like Belichick. They have lost a ton of guys. That offense really doesn't have any offensive weapons whatsoever, and they're going to be depending on their running game a ton, and on top of that, we just don't know um, what you're going to really get out of Cam. So that's more of a like wait and see here. Whereas you see with a Buffalo, they have a really good defense. They've really supplied they really have supplied Josh Allen with some pretty good targets there. They acquired Stephon Diggs from the Vikings. So just to help him out there, it's a really good running game there as well. I feel like they are set up to possibly win that there. With the Jets, they are terrible. I'm
The
expecting
Jets.
them. Yeah, I'm expecting them to probably finish last. And as far as Miami is concerned, this is about them just kind of just a building year for them. I would assume at some point that we're going to be seeing Tua, um, because just based off of like Fitzpatrick's history, he's going to be banged up at some point. So I kind of feel probably around Octoberish, or at the very latest, in like November, you'll probably see Tua in there, and hopefully they have now finally found their franchise quarterback. So that's kind of how I see it. But I do think I do think with the Dolphins, they will probably finish third
Yep.
in the AFC East there, man.
Yeah,
How about you?
I think it's going to be relatively close between Patriots and Bills. I still believe in the Patriots magic voodoo. Um, that somehow they always just do good no matter what. But obviously it's a different season. There's no Brady.
Should also keep it in mind as well. I think they had at least 6 or 7 guys who opted out this year
Yeah,
because of COVID.
yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah,
I think somehow the Patriots voodoo makes it interesting, but the pixie dust runs out. Bills, Bills dethrone the Patriots finally. Uh, we'll see. And then I agree with the third and fourth places that you said there. Moving on to the NFC. Let's see here. We have the NFC East: Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, and the Washington football team.
yeah. To me, this like should be Dallas all the way here, man. Just when I look at every other team there, it's just not that very good of a of a
Yeah,
division, if you ask me. I mean, like when you look at like Philadelphia, um, just like their quarterback play is just so inconsistent. Like, and whether it's with the overall health of Carson Wentz, or just every single game, you just don't know what you're getting. Where and then obviously you look at like Washington and like New York, who are not very good teams, who by the way are starting two rookie tackles, I believe, against T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree, or at least one. So this it and from like Dallas's point of view here, they are just this is probably Dallas's best team, top to bottom, in a very long time. If you ask me, Matt, just feel like that they are that this is their best team equipped to possibly make a like bigger run. But again, it's at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how good does like Dak play, and that'll be the ultimate case here. And speaking of Dak, did you hear? It was like a few days ago of what like Skip Bayless said about him.
Even if I did say it again, I didn't.
Okay.
But
Well, okay. So apparently Dak he was suffering from some depression because I believe his brother or someone committed suicide
oh,
because of like because because of that because of depression or something. And Skip basically said that he didn't feel sorry for Dak for like feeling that way. I'm like, can you be any more insensitive? That much
oh,
of a freaking
that's why
asshat.
I saw people
Oh
crapping
yeah,
on Skip
but like
Bayless.
they were
I
trying.
saw I saw a tweet. I just saw one person
Mhm.
say something like three things, like somebody local, three things about an NFL and two things, and
Yeah,
the last one was about Skip Bayless. I went, okay, that's random, and I didn't even look into it. Oh,
yeah,
that's stupid.
yeah. It's just
That's
like
ridiculous.
it's just. I mean, like I mean, it just for how publicized that whole thing is, man. Like it just like I just cannot believe that he was just that in that
Uh,
insensitive about the topic. I mean, hell, I mean, like we've seen guys such as like Amaro who has been suffering from like mental illness his whole entire life. Hell, I mean, like look at like Tyson Fury who nearly who nearly committed suicide because of that. So to say like and to just kind of
poo it
just
away.
yeah, it's just really just stupid. But but yeah, but as far as the Cowboys are concerned, I'm expecting them to win the NFC East or
Sure.
uh,
Yeah,
how
I'll tend to agree with that.
Mhm.
With Eagles in second and Washington and the Giants figuring out who's worse. Um,
Right.
uh, we go out from the NFC East. We go on the other coast to the West. We have Arizona, L.A. Rams, San Francisco, and the Seahawks.
Yeah, this, in my opinion, is the toughest NFL D division here. It's by far the most talented one from top to bottom, in my opinion. Um, I am going to be leaning towards San Francisco, but I mean Seattle is right on there with them, and do not be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals kind of throw a like wrench into things there. They acquire Hopkins, they really beefed up on their offensive line to this offseason as well. Um, I mean, like that is it was a very intriguing division there. So, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna go. I'm going to be going San
I
Francisco, Seattle, Arizona, and LA there.
I'm gonna be different. I mean, yeah, I think this will be close. I'll flip San Francisco and Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But like I, yeah, I'll flip Seattle and 49ers, and I'll keep the rest of what you said the same.
Yeah. Yep.
And we go to the North: Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings.
Yeah. This division is a little bit of a toss up for me. Now, I'm gonna say Chicago is just like they aren't even in this con in in this conversation to me. They are really really bad. And same thing with 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 Detroit as well. Comes down to the Packers and also with the Vikings. I'm going to slowly lean for the Packers here, although I just think Rodgers is just, man, like for how good that they're at the record showed, like, and once they got in the NFC Championship game and they just got their asses just
Yeah.
handed to them, it was embarrassing actually, just how badly that they played. Um, and you just wonder with everything going on with them selecting a quarterback in like round one, and just everything else just leading up to that. They really didn't address any of their offensive needs, specifically at like wide receiver, which has been a very big issue for them. And they had never really addressed that. It's still a pretty solid team, but it's not a great team in my opinion. Um, and with the Vikings, I just cannot trust Kirk Cousins at all. It just seems like anytime that he has a team that is slowly starting to ascend, he just immediately goes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna I'm going to pick the the Packers
Yeah.
here.
I'm just trusting in Aaron Rodgers with his track record.
Yeah.
The edge. Yeah, similar thought with Vikings coming in second and Lions and Bears. Oh my.
Yeah.
Um, that too. Then finally we get to the NFC South. The Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, definitely the big talk about this division here is definitely Tom Brady signing with Tampa. It's a really stacked offense. Definitely coming down between them and Andrew Brees and the Saints there should
Mm-hmm.
be very intriguing. Um, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm thinking Tampa. But I do think it's going to be a dogfight between them and the Saints. I think with Carolina, they could possibly be a dark horse. But they have also had a ton of turnover as well. Obviously Teddy Bridgewater, he's now is their starting quarterback now, and also over in Atlanta, just they're just too inconsistent for me. I with their defense is just really just been not good. They have had a ton of injuries the past few seasons. So we'll see how they do. I mean it's still a pretty stacked offense, but against everyone else there, I'm probably am leaning towards Tampa here.
It's going to be interesting to see Drew Brees and Tom Brady play twice in the season, which they always separated.
And would not surprise me if this was Drew's on final season too, because like you kind of feel like he's on the very edge of retirement, because I believe actually I'm not sure if it was ESPN or NBC that like offered him an analyst position, and he decided to come back for another season. So yeah, so a lot's happening there for sure.
Um, man, I don't want to go against Brady because
Mm-hmm. Especially too, Matt, with all of those offensive weapons like everywhere. Like even in his greatest seasons with the Patriots, he has never had offensive weapons like
I'll,
everywhere. Like it's just
as much as my heart wants the Saints, my brain's telling me Tampa Bay.
yeah.
I don't know. Like I can't go against
Tom Brady.
TB12.
Yeah,
Yes, I
table
can't go.
talk.
I can't. I can't. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. Not
Yeah, yeah.
regardless.
Right. So, yep,
Yep.
that's kind of how I'm feeling as well. So, and as far as our Super Bowl picks, who do you got, Matt?
Oh Jesus, it's tough to pick with.
I pick now, pal.
Um. Let me see.
No
Jeez.
pressure. No pressure.
Can I the cop out and say the Chiefs to go back to back?
No, honestly, I wouldn't blame
I
you
thought of
for
that the
one.
other day.
Mhm.
I say they're at least Final Four, definitely. Because it's hard to it's hard to see without anybody playing. Like I don't want to go like Buccaneers. I don't believe that.
No, I hear.
Go.
I'll
What's
tell you mine.
yours?
Um, being a complete homer here, but I think that the Steelers are going back to the Super Bowl, and I think they will be facing the San Francisco 49ers. Two iconic franchises facing each other here. I do think that with Tampa, they're going to be in a mix. And as far as the AFC is concerned, I think there are only two truly great teams in that conference between Kansas City and the Baltimore Ravens. And as a between the Steelers and like Baltimore, those games are always toss ups. I mean, hell, like like
Felt by field goals.
yeah, it's so like I think that's I'm pretty confident with that, but it's just it'll be very interesting to see if we do face Kansas City, how that whole thing would turn out, because man, I really do feel like that we can definitely match up with, with them, although it's going to be tough as hell to even think about
I
guarding those guys. But I'm Steelers and 49ers. To me, 49ers are just way too talented. The only question mark that they have is that quarterback. Can Jimmy G not turn it over and just make just just bad choices, and that's what essentially cost him in the Super Bowl. He just had a horrible game, and that was the
yeah.
absolute
Wow.
end
What
of it there.
what happens if it's back to back same two teams? If I pick the Chiefs and you have the 49ers,
Mhm.
that would be interesting. But
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
like
have to
it's
see the teams. I just
yeah.
picked the Chiefs because I have no.
And like honestly, I mean, like it's just going to be really hard to predict anything this year, just because without any preseason, and like and like
With
you
COVID
don't
dangling
yeah,
above
it's
your
just
head.
it's just it's a coin flip. So I mean, but it's going to be a very interesting season to say the least. And as far
Yep.
as NFL MVP, I'm not going to be really going out on any limbs here. To me, Patrick Mahomes is going to be that guy. That's with him
It's. I think
healthy.
it's his. I think it's his to lose again.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think with like and even though with like Baltimore have the second easiest schedule this year, I believe, or the easiest one. I do think with like Jackson, he will put up some pretty good games. But if he's completely healthy, Mahomes is he's a freaking monster, and like you can't
Yep.
stop him. Like the only person who can stop him is himself. Like we are just seeing a special quarterback that comes around once in a generation. Like it's
Hmm.
just he's truly amazing.
Yeah. I was gonna say the Mahomes too. You have to agree. Somebody has to take it
Yep,
to
absolutely.
make change my mind.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's it for the NFL talk. John, you had, if I'm not missing anything, Bellator. You wanted to talk about Bellator or some
Yes,
news, and
so we had some pretty big news. Two things actually with them. So Nomad. I'm not sure if you were even aware of this,
probably not.
but i- in like France, a- MMA had been like completely outlawed, illegal, and everything. Well, now it's officially legal over in France, and the Bellator is going to be going over there. I think it's next month or in November, and they're going to be having actually one event where they're going to be allowing in fans supposedly are around like 5,000 people. So yeah, I would say that's pretty big news there.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
and they also announced that they're going to be leaving Paramount, and they're going to be now airing all of their shows on CBS on
Hmm.
CBS Sports Network. And supposedly they're going to be having all of the cards, I believe, on like Thursday nights, which I kind of like that. Honestly, I mean, the only issue of for them would probably be when they're going up against say the NFL or something.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's a pretty solid plan. And someone was asking Coker during his press conference today about the possibility of them possibly working with like Showtime, because I believe Showtime is under like a Viacom
I don't
umbrella
know.
there. So I think that's definitely a possibility at some point. And like you gotta think, depending on how the company grows, that hopefully at some point they will end up back on with CBS, because in the past Scott Cooker he has worked with CBS when he was running Strike Force. They they aired some shows over there. So I'm hoping at some point that comes. But I do think, even though compared to Paramount with the CBS Sports, they don't like reach as like many homes. But I feel as far as an overall deal, and with them, when they run with their international cards, it's to be completely live. Um whereas like now, if they were when they were running shows, Matt, they would be on like tape delay with Paramount, which was um a very big issue, and I'm glad that's going to be a thing of the past now. So yeah, it's just some very positive things. And also they announced that Chris Cyborg, she will be fighting. I believe it's October 15th. I'm going to pull that up here just to be sure, because I was over on our Twitter page, tweeting out some of that news there. And actually we had a few fights that were announced, when they were breaking the news with CBS Sports. Okay, all right. So here were some of the fights here. On October 29th, we are getting Douglas Lima versus Gegard Mousasi on October 29th. We are getting um Chris Cyborg versus Arlene Blencow on October 15th. So two very so so two fights announced there, along with them moving over to CBS Sports. So hopefully now with them introducing some crowds, we'll get some form of normalcy here, Matt. So yep,
Yep.
that was all that I wanted to say about Bellator there. Did you want to talk now about the AEW and the NXT
Yeah,
ratings real quick here?
yeah, we can touch that real quick. So AEW on a show I thought didn't look decent on paper. Drew over 1 million fans on Wednesday night
Oh,
compared.
have the Quarterlies dropped for
I
that, by the way?
I did not see him.
Okay.
I can look,
Yeah,
but
I would like to know how that did, but yeah, I mean, like when I saw that on Wednesday afternoon, I was stunned. I,
yes,
I like I thought that they would do around 860 ish there because I believe that that's essentially what they did on their go home show to All Out. But man, like they just blew it out of the freaking water and really good for them, man. And I mean, like, and it's this ongoing thing with both them and NXT of them being on separate nights. But our friend Eric, he was making some, I feel, some pretty good points though too, from WWE side of them. This kind of being more of a like reason why they want them to be competing with on Dynamite to like kind of stifle with their growth as much as possible as much as possible. How do you feel about that? Do you think that this will be even more reason for them to keep NXT on Wednesdays, or do you think that
um,
that yeah
yeah, maybe. I don't think unless USA is like, hey, that's we're doing Tuesday.
yeah
Um,
well yeah I mean if they come in and say, hey, move the show, just based on the freaking numbers here, you're doing over 100,000 more viewers here. Whereas when you're competing with AEW, I mean, like hell, like I mean, even getting 750,000 is pretty tough for them. I mean, like yeah, like there are some special circumstances, but all in all, it's very hard for them to get in that 750 range, and more importantly, too, Matt, those 18 to 49 demos just kill them um, when they face them, just because and we've talked about this. It's the same audience that you're targeting, and you're cutting that right in half. So it's just like it's just it doesn't look good on paper when USA is seeing these. They're like, hey guys, why are we doing this here?
yeah. I don't see the ratings
The
or
quarterlies.
quarterly ratings as of now. Um,
Okay,
yeah, I can't find them.
okay, or because I was watching Alvarez, and I believe he was saying that supposedly that outside of like one or two segments that every major quarterly did at least 1 million viewers. I believe is what he said. So a very successful night for AEW and 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 even too for NXT who I believe they did 838,000 viewers I believe.
Yes, slightly down,
Right. So,
which
um,
I'm shocked.
yeah,
Well, it's slightly. It wasn't terrible, but
I really do feel like that them putting with that title match at the very start of the show really hurt them. I feel like if they would have had that as a main event, like they would have been fine. But because of that, you know, unfortunately, so yeah, we shall see how things go, and I'm hoping actually that we get both of these shows on separate nights. But and this was something I completely forgot about. It's like if AEW is on Thursday night, they would be going up against the NFL
NFL.
then,
They probably would
which
stick on Wednesday.
yeah, and yeah, because I believe that if they were to go to, I want to say if they were to go to on Thursday, that I believe that the Rockets and the Lakers would have to force a game seven. I think. Um, so, but I could be completely wrong about that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And obviously, if we do get that, um, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing live streams for that because of your
Yeah,
schedule there,
yeah.
Matt.
We got the
Yeah,
next
but
couple of weeks are going to be fun.
okay,
Um,
all right, but we're going to be capping off the show, Matt, with some fun. We're going to space, man. We're going to space. Do you want to explain why we're going to space?
well, apparently news came out that the Fast and Furious franchise for Fast 9 or whatever it's called is going to
Doesn't matter.
be
It doesn't
in
matter.
some form of space in the next movie. Um,
Sure, why not?
Cars in space. I wish I
Like,
had the effect. I don't know which one it would be.
yeah,
You send me that.
was like, hey Matt, want to see something something hilarious?
What have they done?
And man, like I just like that franchise is just gotten more and more ridiculous. Like just
Next, you're gonna tell me they're gonna race on Mars. Oh God.
hey, I mean, would you really doubt them? So
Nope.
it's just like man, like after I think it was after Fast Six, which is where like where like where like you, me, and Phil went and saw that, and we just tore
Ripped
that
it.
thing, just
Yep.
ripped it to stretches. Nothing made sense. It was just it just like like it was
It's a
fun.
gag.
Yeah, it was fun at the very start of the franchise, but then these stunts in hell we saw with their last trailer with John Cena there, and Vin Diesel is literally catching a car with his bare hands. Just
Holding
like
onto a car,
yeah.
like or helicopter or whatever.
I mean, like I mean, this is pretty much the whole Fast and Furious
They
series
went
now,
from
Matt.
racing cars and all that to
It's
mm,
basically it's
anything.
basically it's basically a like Diesel. It's basically a Vin Diesel dick measuring contest, essentially. At this point, it's just like I'm just. I mean, like, there's no other explanation as to like just the man's ego and like hell, like we heard about the ongoing feud between him and Dwayne Johnson, which that was really publicized, and to with like Tyrese, who was very unhappy when he kind of him and Jason Statham did did their own like side thing there with our boy. to Roman Reigns was also in that film, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
So it's just
How do they get to space? Why? Are they gonna like crash something through the space station? No mask and just flip slowly in space and land on a spaceship.
sure.
No,
Why not?
they're gonna have a spaceship. It's gonna come in International Space Station and just gonna barely miss.
Right.
I don't.
It just
If
looks
it's the whole
so
thing, if it's a little bit, but I think if it's a little bit, it's why.
sucks. Yeah, it just
I almost want to see it just to see that. I almost want to spend the money to see it just so we can make fun of it after.
mhm. Yeah, it's just man, yeah, it's just like I'm like, and I will for sure not be seeing this. I gave
almost
up.
want to.
I gave up on this franchise a long time ago.
I almost,
Um,
if they're definitely in space, I almost want to just
yeah,
for craps and giggles.
yeah. So yeah. So yeah, Matt. I believe if you don't have anything else, we can probably
No,
cap it off here. You're probably very tired right now.
yes, I am. If nobody can tell, I am hitting. I hit a wall like 2 seconds ago. The
Mhm.
Bellator news. I was like, oh, I am losing my mind. So, anyways, uh, that's this week's podcast. It's 57. Again, thanks everybody for watching. You know what you do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe if you haven't already. Uh, this podcast and every podcast will be on every Saturday at 3 p.m. Next live stream hopefully is next. Everything's back to normal, kind of.
Depending on
On
what the
NBA.
schedule is, and depending obviously on like your schedule too.
It's going to be a work in progress. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
guarantee anything, but
yeah. Just keeping tune with our
yeah,
Twitter
we're
page. I
working
mean,
out.
yeah, for sure.
So that's pretty much it. So for John, they're up on the top. For me, I am Matt. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.